The following podcast is a W2M Network original production. Visit W2Mnet.com for all of our other great podcasts, plus news, reviews, articles, and opinions from the worlds of wrestling, video games, football, and entertainment.
Hello and welcome to a special midweek edition of Soccer to the Max. And we are coming to you about 15 minutes or so after the U.S. and Panama game has ended 1-1. So the draw for both teams, U.S. now has 4 points in the hex and Panama right above them with 5 now. So, they got the 4 points that they wanted. As Erik Watkins joins me here, so I am not by myself doing this thing, thankfully. Erik, how are you feeling after the result here?
We said we wanted at least 4. We got 4, but to me, especially as the second half of that one wore on, it could have been 6, but really the way that the U.S. was a little shaky at the back, it could have just been 3, so I guess I'm just going to take what I can get.
Yeah, that's kind of how I felt towards the end too. You wanted them to get that goal and make it a 2-1 and get the full 6, but like you said, it was scary, especially I think in the first half where both teams really weren't getting their footing, and especially the U.S. They were kind of just everywhere. They were stretched out. They couldn't get possession at all. It seemed like they didn't want possession either. They really weren't creating much as far as like trying to keep possession of the ball and go forward at a tempo. They were just either hoofing it up there or just clearing it. And, I think we should look at this in a way that Panama's only given up 2 goals in qualifying, and they were in their last 2 games. One to Kevin Molino, and that was enough for Trinidad to get the full 3 points on Panama. This time the U.S. scores first, late in the first half. Beautiful movement by Christian Pulisic in the box to get rid of Felipe Beloy, and then Ramon Torres, and then just the patience enough to flick it there to Dempsey to score, but then Gaff at the back on I don't know if it was a free kick or a corner, and Panama gets it right back towards the end of the half, and it's 1-1 at the half, and then it stays that way throughout the second half. But I thought that Tim Ream looked good, but for the most part, they didn't look settled back there.
No, Ream looked good, and really aside from one potentially disastrous gaffe, Graham Zusi looked good on the right side. And I
did not think he looked too good. There was times where he had his moments, but there was plenty of other times where he got beat.
Well, yes, he was going to get beat, and I knew he was going to get beat. And again, this is the problem with the Graham Zusi experiment. Now you're seeing it at one of the bigger stages away. And give credit to Panama, they used their speed just like the U.S. did. They threw their weight around just like the U.S. wanted to. And he was exposed. But I wouldn't necessarily say, it was terrible, it was awful. He still settled in, although, progress really was minimal, but there was still just a teeny bit of progress.
Yeah, he had his couple of challenges where he was really sure-footed to make the tackle, and then got them going, but he got lost in midfield at times as well, pushing forward. He wasn't able to track back on, these players that are much faster than him, which that's going to happen. But, I think part of it, too, is you have Tim Ream and Omar Gonzalez not having played together, really. I think Tim Ream was really the star back there. He made a lot of clearances. When Omar had to be up there in the air, he did pretty well. But there was also plenty of times that Tim Howard had to make some big saves, especially the one where it almost went through Howard's legs. And he was able to just block it with his leg and keep it there. So, Tim Howard.
Belgium all over again.
Yeah, I mean, you really don't want to. It's just, gotta give credit to Howard for that, but still, it's like you said, shaky. You really want them playing much better than what you're used to. I think certainly, and it's just, it's one of these things for me where I know that they were certainly going attacking, and I think you got to give them credit for that too. They weren't just sitting back and soaking pressure and wanting to get the point. They were pushing guys forward. Pulisic and Nagbe for a little bit. He had that one breakaway run where he got the ball taken from him as he was getting towards the box, but he really didn't get to do a whole lot. He was part of the reason that him and Jermaine Jones are both really shaky in that first 30 minutes.
Yeah, and I don't necessarily think it was the U.S. didn't want to soak up pressure. I think they did, but they really couldn't. Because there were a lot of times, as you said, that first half hour, Panama was just able to push, wait for the right pass, especially just from about the edge of the 18 to about 30, 35 yards around that corridor at the ends of the box. That's where they wanted to do a lot of damage. Yes, they had some advantages and had a little luck going out wide, but they did better really when the U.S. was trying to stay compact. So rather than having to sit and wait and develop a counterattack, the U.S. had to just go route one. On the Pulisic assist for the Dempsey goal, it worked perfectly. But on a big exchange in the second half, and I tweeted about this, U.S. on a breakaway, they tried to get a little too unselfish, too cute, couldn't convert. Then Panama, right back on the other end, they tried to get too cute. It didn't work. Now, I don't know if it was because of the weather, the footing, tired legs, something where the first touches on either of those runs were a little heavy, but if those first touch, one way or the other, connects, we're sitting here talking about a 2-1 match.
Yeah, I mean, you're right about that, but, you could go the either way for on Panama, too. There was plenty of times where Tejada had it right in front, and he just skies it over, just... It was, I wouldn't call it even. I think Panama certainly had better chances than the U.S. did. U.S. didn't really get to do much on corners. They slightly had an advantage there. The possession was probably even, I'd say, not as much as like Honduras, where Honduras had a lot more possession. But I think, still, just... This was a much, much different game than the Honduras game, and I think that all comes down to Panama's defense is so good. You're talking about, other than the goal by Dempsey, he didn't really do much. Josie Altidore was nowhere near a factor.
No, he tried, but he overcompensated a little bit, trying to be more of a number 9, where if he'd have been more forceful and played closer to a natural number 10, he would have had more chances. But even before the match, I knew, taking into account injuries, taking into account that it was away, I knew the U.S. was going to be much more defensive-minded. For the most part, it worked, but not as well as it could have.
Yeah, I mean, and how good is Christian Pulisic? I mean, he just, even though he was playing in a wider position here. He was really the any time that there was a spark offensively, it was going through him.
Yeah, and Panama made him a target. They're like, look, we're going to take you down. We're not going to go studs up, but we know as you go, so does your offense. So we're going to let you know we're here a lot. It's a football deal.
Speaking of that, did you like the referee kind of swallowing the whistle here and letting him play, or do you think that he was a bit too wild on letting some of these things go?
I would have liked to seen a card towards the end, but I think early on he kept the match a little testy, but nowhere near out of hand. And I also like the fact that some of the players really policed themselves because they knew, hey, ref's gonna let us play. Let's not screw this up. I mean, come on now. There's still a lot at stake. So I really can't complain, but nobody's perfect.
Yeah, I mean, I do think there's times where you could have called a foul, especially it seemed more on the U.S. side that he was letting things go, and that's fine. That each referee decides how they want to officiate the game. I think he kind of didn't want to let his whistle control things, and I mean, if that's what he wants to do, you can't really say much other than that. But I think there was certainly times where you could have called something, and it puts the U.S. in an advantageous position. But I didn't see that many on the other end where I'd say, okay, Panama didn't get that call or whatever. It was much more on the U.S. side of, okay, this guy obviously got knocked down, like Bedoya after they lost the chance, and it's like, all right, just nothing. Okay.
Yeah, like I said, he did let Panama throw his weight around, especially in the second half, because I was seeing a couple more takedowns than I'm used to, and I'm like, okay, something. And I was just sitting, waiting for it, but there was no yellow card. I think one, and there were plenty of opportunities to show one, that would have ended it right then and there.
Yeah, I think a bookie might have changed a couple of things. Certainly, like you said, just he chose not to do it. So,
no.
Fair to him, he didn't give one on either side. I thought Bruce might have waited a little bit too long to bring in Acosta and especially Areola, where Josie really wasn't doing anything. They might have needed that spark a little bit earlier.
They really did, and the fact that it was 1-1, 65th, 68th, 70th minute, knowing that Josie Dempsey, nobody up front really has the chance to do anything, you create that chance and give a build-up to get that winner. And as I said, once you get down to those last 5, 10, 15 minutes, if you decide, hey, I'm going to have to lean towards parking the bus, then what's the point?
Yeah, I mean, I did think Areola looked good.
He did.
The couple of times he did venture forward, just really didn't get a chance to do a whole lot. At that point, it was just kind of like, well, whenever we do get near the box, let's see what happens. Didn't get much from Acosta, but I think for the little bit of time that the youngins got, I still give Bruce credit for at least putting him in there. He could have gone with some more veterans, and he didn't. So
yeah, because I mean, the good news is he knows that he was holding on to a point because Panama was really locked in. They were waiting for a chance to try to get a winner instead of creating one. When you know you've got a point in your pocket, coming off of a 6-0 win, still somewhat early phases in the Hex, match day 4, you have opportunity to give young guns some key minutes. So I like that. And this is showing me, yeah, he's still got a bit of a touch and he knows what he's doing.
So, I mean, that's sort of, I think, everything from the game. I mean, anybody else that you kind of felt, I still think there was times where Michael Bradley, again, looked shaky, where he was giving the ball away and not necessarily being the confident guy. That, I mean, obviously there's other times where he was looking upfield and stuff, but I still feel like, you know, he's fine when he's back there playing the defensive mid, but when you're asking him to sort of be that plug in between to find the right pass to get things going, he didn't do that very much here.
I would have liked to see him connect a little bit more with Nagby, because not getting it to him, it kept things a bit more wayward. And already with Pulisic showing what he could do with speed, you have to counter speed with speed. And that option was there a few times, but nothing doing, and that led to some easy turnovers. So, I guess it's because there was a lot of tweaking all around in the lineup, but I do have to agree, there was very little there, and it's like he wanted to do it too much on his own.
Yeah, and I think you should expect more from Nagby. I don't think he was able to really get much going, but I think, again, that's more on the Panamanian defense. They were certainly closing him down. I think they had to choose, you know, do a little pick their poison kind of thing, and Pulisic was able to get himself free a lot more than Nagby was, and I think once Nagby really wasn't getting much attention, he kind of sort of took himself out of the game, I think you can say.
Yeah. A little bit, because I couldn't put my finger on it. I knew what the defense was doing. I knew how the U.S. could counter, but I guess maybe they had it in their head, yeah, this is Panama, yeah, we've won here, we can just do whatever and be fine. And after a while they realized, oh crap, no we can't, but it was too late.
Yeah, and I think that's where Jermaine Jones kind of faltering as well kind of comes in too. He usually is sort of a force going forward. You didn't see that very much from him either here. So, you know, not the best game, but you get the point you needed. Some parts look good here. Pulisic once again shines. Tim Ream, I think, is going to give John Anthony Brooks, Jeff Cameron, a run for their money in the next set of qualifiers or friendlies or whatever they're going to be playing here. The next game is against Trinidad and Tobago at home on June 8th, so it'll be a little while before we're talking about meaningful games again, and I'm sure they'll have friendlies before then. So, you know, and then Gold Cup will be around.
Yeah, I mean, they might have a friendly or two just because, but I think, and especially with the U.S., the focus now, you've got 2 months, so it's going to primarily be MLS. And especially with how the international calendar shakes out, you've got a lot of European leagues beginning to wind down their season. So they're going to be, well, it's going to be a lot more focus on club. So we'll see.
Before we get done talking about international, what do you think about Messi getting the 4-game suspension? That really puts Argentina in a bind there.
As is, they were borderline screwed to begin with. Now, timing-wise, it's not the best. But the good news is that Argentina, you're playing 18 matches in qualifying instead of 8, 10, or 12. So it doesn't sting as much. But with how that South American table is shaking out, if the Albiceleste doesn't come up with points, they could be staying at home. That's a scary proposition.
Yeah, that's certainly a scary proposition. You don't want to be, if you're Argentina, you're always expected to qualify, and even without Messi, you still got plenty of talent, but obviously he's your heartbeat. But even a bigger heartbeat that he is not going to renew his contract with Barcelona. That's amazing to me.
No, not really. I mean, if you think about it, he and Ronaldo, there's always been a battle of who's the best player on the planet. I've even had my takes on that, and sorry, Barca fans, Ronaldo leading Portugal to winning it all in Euro 2016, he's taking the mantle. And especially with how Portugal is doing in European qualifying, he's getting a bigger edge. And with Luis Suarez, with Neymar, how they're playing at Barcelona, they're doing fine without him. So, who knows? Could this be a sign to where Messi comes back home? Like a lot of other players and finishes his career in Argentina? I would love to see that. I'm sure Argentine fans would love to see that. This could be what he's thinking about.
Yeah, I mean, I think fair enough you could say, oh, you expect him to play with one team his whole career or whatever, but we never really see this in American sports. We don't really see it that much anymore, even in Europe. I think he deserves to kind of, as long as he doesn't go to Real Madrid, go somewhere else and see how you fare, you know?
Yeah, and this is what you go back to guys like Higuain or even El Pato. That's kind of, or hell, go all the way back to Maradona. This is kind of Argentine tradition. You play at home, develop your skills against some of the best in South America, then you make the big move to Europe, play the bulk of your career, and then as you're winding down last 2-3 years, come back home, be the hero, come back to one of the big clubs. I mean, odds are he's probably closer to a club like Boca Juniors than he is than Real Madrid.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen considering just the way the Argentine leagues are right now.
But if you would want someone with clout, and if Messi decides, yeah, I'm coming home and playing, y'all got to fix this before I do, they would have a meeting of the minds right then and there and say, hey, let's sort this out.
I agree with you, but I think if you're Messi, go play in England, go play in Italy, go play somewhere else, and prove that, hey, it's not just the Barca system or it's not just La Liga. I can be great in other places, you know. But, hey, look, maybe he does kind of want to come home or, you know. I wonder if anybody in MLS is going to try to pony up the money here, but I doubt it.
No. His asking price would be astronomical.
Oh, but if you're MLS, though, you pay that money if he's even thinking about it. I don't think he will, but...
Okay. Yes, you...
But come on, think about how he would open the sea wide open for guys.
I completely agree, but... I'm putting myself not so much in the particular team's shoes, because there's plenty of teams that would love to have him. I'm putting myself in Don Garber's shoes. With how muddy the waters are for MLS now, with everything that's going on and teams are looking to you, cities are looking to you for expansion, how is it going to fall on you pulling this kind of trigger? Now, I admit, I would at least do a little bit of exploratory work. Find out timelines, talk to agents, see what the number's going to be, what sort of negotiations can happen. I would do that for the sake of doing it, and to give MLS just that extra boost of legitimacy. Let the cities that are interested in expansion bids get together and say, all right, they're talking to Messi. this could be tremendous. How can we fit ourselves into this? So there's value in doing that, but how high of a price do you want to pay before it's like your return on your investment is impossible?
Oh, it's going to be impossible, but come on. You say Messi going to an MLS stadium, that's automatic sellout every time.
Yeah, I mean, hey, don't get me wrong. I would love to see him wearing purple or black. I would run out and buy that jersey in a heartbeat. But I kind of go back to the Ronaldo contract with Real Madrid and something like a ridiculous $1 billion buyout clause and how many hundreds of millions they threw at him. Even with all of his accomplishments, you still overpaid.
Oh, yeah.
I think that with the kind of number that's going to be commanded, it's going to be the biggest splash, the biggest signing since the Cosmos got Pele in 76? Thereabouts? Maybe it might have been 75. But it's going to be that kind of a big number, and regardless of what happens, you're going to overpay. I don't know if Garber is ready to make that big of a leap right now.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, again, there's going to be exploratory work. See what the timeline is. If the timeline is favorable, there might be more legit talk. There may be a move. But if it's not, then they're going to pass.
Yeah, I mean, probably the chances are he's probably not even looking this way at all, but still, you know, it's something to think about, I think.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's still, you know, fresh in the news. We'll have to see if any of this becomes anything for Messi at all, but still, it's interesting. No Argentina play for him for 4 games, which started in the game that they lost to Bolivia today, and then you know 2-0 after all, and then things continue. So, but moving on now, let's talk about news that hit right after the game with Real Salt Lake saying that they are going to be naming their new head coach in the morning, in the afternoon, at some point on Wednesday. The reports out there already naming Mike Petke, former coach, manager of the New York Red Bull. Then, you know, he was replaced by Jesse Marsch, the current manager of New York Red Bull. A lot of people thought it was unfair when he was ousted, and now he's going to come into a team that has veterans, but has a young core still. Certainly people that Petke can mold. I think it's a good fit.
I mean, to me, not just because of his experience with New York Red Bulls, he spent a couple of months as the manager of the RSL Monarchs. So he's familiar with the system, has a good idea of what's going on. So it's essentially Real Salt Lake promoting from within. As I said, bit of an old school pick, but I'm with you. I like it, and it's going to be an easier transition than getting someone from outside. Now, I don't know necessarily how long it's going to work, but it should start leading to results fairly quickly, at least in my opinion. Especially, we all know who they've got coming up this week.
Yeah, I mean, we do. I mean, they got the lucky point against the Red Bulls, so, you know, it keeps them not, you know, far off in the hunt and everything. But I think Mike Petke gets into a good situation here, and we'll have to see who he likes and who he doesn't. so far in the on the squad. A former RSL player could be joining your team, Orlando, on loan, as Querétaro gonna loan Luis Gil to Orlando and of course, Mr. Jason Christ, very familiar with him from his RSL days, so that makes a lot of sense. You like the move for Gil?
I do. We need a bit more familiarity, kind of improving what's going on because we have good results, but this kind of eases the nervousness of what I've been hearing about Kyle Larin. Because, I mean, for the love of God, don't go. Not now. Not now, please. Okay, just a few more matches at least. Let's get a little go. Everton, you don't like Everton. They're mid-table. You don't want to go to a mid-table club. Stay here. Orlando's nice. England weather sucks, even in the summer. I'm just saying.
I think it's. I think for one, we don't have to worry about it for a while because I think he can't go until the transfer window. So,
okay. Sigh of relief has been breathed.
So, I don't think he can go until the summer. So you'll be okay until whenever that summer transfer window opens. But
I want to say that's like May, June-ish.
Yeah, May, June-ish. So still got a few months with him, but. It would be great for Canadian soccer, and I think it would be great for Kyle Larin, obviously, to be able to move to a big club like Everton. But, for Orlando, that's going to hurt because he's your goal scorer right now.
Exactly. I don't want it to be great for Canadian soccer, because being great for Canadian soccer is being bad for Orlando City soccer. Canada, I love you. I'll fly the Maple Leaf all day, but I have to draw a line on this one. I'm sorry.
Fair enough. But, it's still, I think I am always one of those to encourage the move. I mean, right now I've got 3 of my guys in FC Dallas that apparently are drawing interest from Schalke and Anderlecht and, Kellen Acosta, Maxi Arruti, and Walker Zimmerman. 3 of our big, especially apparently Ajax and Stuttgart are looking at Zimmerman, and Arruti and Acosta are being looked at by Schalke and Anderlecht. So, I mean, I'm hoping that none of that happens, but I can't blame them for wanting to find greener pastures, especially Acosta and Zimmerman. Going to Europe is only going to help them as far as the national team goes. So.
Oh, yeah. In Canada, as far as the national team, I admit, the bigger boost you can get, the better, because they're sort of like the red-shirted stepchild in CONCACAF, which kind of makes me sad, but
right.
The better players that you can get with better talent, hey, this helps you, and who knows, that could start to get them to some sort of relevance, especially with yet another Gold Cup coming up.
Certainly true on that front, but let's talk about the games happening on the weekend. Of course, this is an extension of Week 4 in MLS, as I found out before we started the show here. They had a shortened Week 4 last weekend with only 3 games. Now you got the full slate with everybody but Colorado and Dallas playing due to Dallas having to go to Mexico to play Pachuca in the second leg of their very crucial semifinal in the CONCACAF Champions League. Vancouver does not get that advantage due to them playing at home against the Galaxy, and then they're playing at home again against Tigres. So we start off here with FS1, 7:30 p.m. Eastern, the first of a doubleheader on Friday. Toronto at home against Sporting. Toronto right now, they are 5th in the East, Sporting are one of the undefeated teams there in the West, as they sit 5th in the West right now. And battle of 5th place teams in each conference. I kind of expect a draw here.
Same here. Sporting, really, what's gotten them undefeated is their defense. I mean, yes, they've had some fantastic goals like Failhaber's last week, but I don't know necessarily how Toronto is going to sort through it. I mean,
you got a lot of guys on international duty as well.
Yeah, so you're going to have to make a lot of major changes to the formation, and while I want to lean towards 1-1 for the sake of things, 0-0 wouldn't surprise me here.
No, wouldn't surprise me. I do think I'm going to go with the 1-1. Should be a good game, though.
Mm-hmm.
Probably a tight game, but in Toronto, things sometimes happen, and you never know. They could eke one out there on Toronto's end. The second of a doubleheader, except for the bad news that Atlanta got of Joseph Martinez is out 4 to 6 weeks with an injury. But NYC or Seattle coming at home against Atlanta. They're having to go and face the champions, the New Boys. Should be a fun game regardless, though.
It's still going to be open, but without Martinez, I don't give Atlanta that much of a shot, especially out west. I can't quite say they've been lucky, because they've been a fantastic team. They use every inch of the pitch they possibly can, but Seattle, it's just, the Sounders are just different creatures. I think, if anything, they're probably going to have a little bit of offensive issues, but maybe a 2-1 win?
Yeah, that's where I was going to. 2-1 makes sense to me.
Yeah, Atlanta, ouch.
Yeah, I mean, you never know with Atlanta, though. They still got plenty of talent, and I think you might see lots of, like you said, open game. Both teams going forward, going for it. But I'm looking at the champions here and saying, hey, let's see what happens here.
Yeah, now if Atlanta can kind of shock the world, score first, it's a different story. But I don't realistically think they will.
So, Seattle, of course, right now, sitting underneath Sporting, they're on 4 points, got they're 6th. And you've got the Atlanta team that is currently 3rd in the East. Only a point behind New York and Columbus. So, any kind of win for Atlanta there could see them bolt to the top, depending on some other things. So that's going to be an interesting one. Now moving on to the Saturday slate, which features 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games. You got NYCFC and San Jose. I can see a draw here, too. San Jose's been playing really well.
They have, but I still don't trust anyone other than Wondolowski scoring. A draw is likely, but especially because that's at Yankee Stadium.
Right.
NYCFC could steal a late winner in that one. I mean, 1-1, but it could be 2-1 NYCFC. It could.
You're not wrong. I'll say 2-2. I think both teams are certainly going to have the scoring boots on. Chicago, possibly the home debut of Bastian Schweinsteiger against Montreal. Do you think he plays? And will Chicago be up for it and get the win?
As much as I would have another ideal local commercial, especially with people speaking Quebecois French, I don't think he plays this week. I think it's still a teeny bit too soon. I wouldn't be surprised to see him out there. But I think with the inspiration in Montreal be kind of this could be enough to see them over the top.
I could see a Chicago 1-0, and I think Boston gets in the last 15 minutes or so.
Yeah, I mean, if he's there, if he's been practicing, which I assume he has, yeah, maybe a 70th minute sub, start to get his feet wet. And, as you said, that could be what spurs them on 1-0. But if they decide, we're just going to sit you here, you get a feel for how we do on match day, then we'll look to maybe start you or bring you in at halftime next week, then,
You got the fourth place Orlando in the East, a point separating both of them with Columbus Crew in first. Columbus has certainly come on and looked very real in the past few games here. This is the Unimas game of the week, Friday at 4 p.m. It's in Columbus. I'm going to have to give the edge to Columbus here.
I hate to do it, but me too. And, I don't want to do this to City. I love City, but, fans are going to hate me. I'm sorry. The way Columbus has been playing, especially with their discipline, this could be 3-1.
Yeah, I was thinking something around there, but I'll keep it at a modest 2-1 here. Columbus still gets the win. Perhaps a little bit too much for that Orlando defense, and an Orlando that's still missing Kaká here. DC looking to get off that schneid against Philadelphia in RFK. Is this finally that game?
No.
The two last place and second to last
No.
each other.
No. DC is too sloppy, too dirty. They've already given up, I don't know how many penalty kicks this season. No. I mean, this will be closer. This might wind up being 1-1, but no. They're not winning. Not yet, they're not.
So you're giving them a goal. That's good.
Yeah, I by a sheer luck. I mean, yeah, they were able to
a negative 6 goal difference with no goals scored. The only team in MLS to not score a goal.
I mean, a blind hog finds a nut every once in a while, but it's going to be by dumb luck rather than actual play.
I'll say DC goes 4 games without scoring.
Yeah, I mean, aside from Taylor Kemp and Yarko, I don't know who they have. I don't know who they have that actually cares right now.
That's something to be said right there. Speaking of caring, Minnesota would certainly care not to be giving up a lot of goals in this game at home against Real Salt Lake, who will be up for it with their new coach probably watching from either the stands or the sidelines. He probably will not be the actual coach in this game, giving Shore one more. You think Salt Lake lays it into Minnesota, or does Minnesota finally get one here? I think Salt Lake looks so good defensively. It'd be hard for me to say that Minnesota's going to be getting anything other than a draw at the most.
I'm going to say this to RSL right now. If you do not win this match at least 2-0, in my mind, you are a laughingstock.
Wow, it's come to that.
You sacked your coach. You're promoting from within. Personally, I wouldn't mind Petke having this game, but because you're playing what could go down as one of the worst, if not the worst team in MLS history, there's pressure on you to get a result. I'm going to keep that pressure. You don't show up and be significant. Now, I'm not telling you to go out there and score 5. God knows you're not ready to score 5. You're not even ready to score 3. But you damn sure better get at least 2.
Well, you're not wrong about the pressure of the result being there. They certainly need to get that act together and make sure that they win. But hey, Minnesota's at home,
and
look, it doesn't mean anything. They got shellacked by Atlanta at home. But, Raw Salt Lake doesn't have that same firepower. I'll say Minnesota gets another draw,
Oh, okay. It's not going to be enough in my mind. It's really not.
They got 2 in the previous game. Sometimes that's all you need. So you got Houston at home against New York. That should be a pretty good game. 2 teams that certainly can put points on the board, especially Houston right now.
This one has the potential to really be one of the higher scoring matches of the week. Oh, I really can't give too much of an edge, but I'd say this could be a fun 2-2, maybe 3-3 with the way, especially Red Bulls, I would have to lean 3-3.
Wow. 3-3, huh? Damn. That's a lot of points. I'll go 2-1 Houston. Jesse Marsh feeling some of that pain some more away from him.
I don't know. I think he shakes something off, and I think BWP, he's had flashes, and I think this could be one to where he opens up the floodgates a little bit. I might be wrong, but this could be that one freakish game to where everybody realizes, oh, there he is.
Galaxy looking to continue their winning ways with a Vancouver that has one eye on CONCACAF Champions League in midweek. I think Galaxy take this one.
They do. Galaxy, this is just great timing for them. The Whitecaps, they're probably going to send out an A-B squad for MLS because it's early. Crucial CCL match at home just a couple days later. It's not necessarily going to be a cakewalk for Galaxy, but 1-0, maybe 2, that'll be enough.
Oh, yeah. I'll go with the 1-0. I think that'll be enough for him. And then we end the week with Portland at home, the number 1 team in MLS on 9 points. They have lost the game against New England, who did get the win, feeling good, even though it was Minnesota.
I'm about to say, let's not go nuts here.
I think this could be open. You could see some scoring. Portland 3-2.
I think Portland does a little bit better than that. I would say I would say maybe Remnant's closer to the Minnesota score, and then closer to what New England did to Minnesota, because even though they're missing a couple key pieces, oddies there, and this defense can get shredded just like any other one, so I'm not going to be too cruel, even though it is New England, 4-2.
All right. So there you have it, our predictions, our thoughts on these games before they happen. I hope you enjoyed what you heard here. If you did, hit that subscribe button on iTunes or Stitcher or TuneIn Radio or wherever it is that you want to listen to us, whether you're listening on just the Soccer to the Max feed or you're listening on the WTM Network or on WTMNet.com, where you can find not just this podcast but all of our wonderful podcasts posted there. Until Sunday, where we will be recapping all these games except for the Portland New England game, because that game's too late. We can't be starting at midnight. But, Tuesday's a special thing. Sundays we try to have Rachel on and be able to talk about everything. But, yeah. So until we talk to you again on Sunday night, Monday morning-ish on the on-demand. See you later, everybody. Enjoy your soccer.
See you later. I'ma blow the whistle and call full time on my night.
The following podcast is a W2M Network original production. Visit W2Mnet.com for all of our other great podcasts, plus news, reviews, articles, and opinions from the worlds of wrestling, video games, football, and entertainment.